So we have, to talk about this, we have NLB founder, NLB Foundation. She joins us from our Abuja studio. Welcome, madam, to the program.
Good morning, and thank you, Ayu and Joke.
Right.
Morning, Nigerians. Thank you for having me.
And we also have a legal practitioner, John Oloyede, who's our regular here to talk about this. Ladies first, really.
I have no issues with that.
Right. Mr. Sobi, if I can come to you.
Okay.
The voters, in all of this, when they say, right, when all these alignments and realignments, are ongoing, when they're ongoing, what do you think is happening to those who are going to cast their votes at the end of the day? Because now this is a time for politicking, this is a time for the politicians, this is a time for primaries, to start taking place. Alignments and realignments are ongoing. It's until January, right, and I think February, that the voters will now begin to also be a part of the process. But it seems that, doing all these alignments and realignments, the person who is actually going to cast the vote and put you into the office that you're, battling to be in, seems to have been forgotten. It's as if people are being taken for granted in these times. What are your thoughts?
I think this is a very interesting time in our political history. It's a very interesting time moving to the 2027 general elections. Lots of preparations going on. Yes, you are seeing the alignments with the political parties and the politicians, but they are going to go down, to their localities. The real politicking is going to begin very soon. I think they also understand that whatever you are doing, you are still going to need votes. Whether those votes will count in the end is another. The continuous voter registration that is going on, that is ongoing, I think is a place for citizens to set the goals. More people got into 18 years of age since the last exercise, and so we encourage them, to go and register to vote. I think the people don't seem to understand their power. Yes, maybe sometimes there have been failure, they trust in the system. A lot of people don't want to go and vote again because they feel their votes don't count. But the parties, I think we need Nigerians to understand that citizenship is a special responsibility and is a big responsibility. It's an obligation on you to participate in your own environment, in the activities of your own environment. And on who comes to power, I just want to say that the voters or Nigerian citizens should know that they need to occupy, they need to stand upright for Nigeria, despite all the flaws that we have been, we've gone through in terms of the failure of some of our citizens, because it's not about you giving responsibility. Who is a citizen? A citizen, you are a Nigerian, you are carrying Nigerian passport, or whether you have passport or not, you were born in Nigeria and you have all the ingredients that qualifies you to be a good citizen or to be a citizen. Patriotism is another level. When we're growing up, there is no question about whether you are a patriot or not. People believed in the country and people invested in the country. We used to invest in the human capital itself, but we're not investing as before. And if you hear what you were even discussing before about education and so on, who has invested really? Who is preparing the future of those who will occupy, who go into the economy? And so voting is very, very important, but we need to be able to hold ourselves responsible. We need to be able to pay attention to the grassroots. Primaries for Ghana, who is having election after us, they had their primaries a long time. They know their candidates already. So working on the voters is something that we have to do. A lot of education is going on from, at the community levels. But we need voter education. We need more voter education by INEC itself. I remember that going into 2023 general election, up until 2 months before the general election, INEC had hardly done any voter education. What we were having was by civil society organizations and also other levels. So we must not forget that the votes must count. Nigerians need to come out en masse, despite all that is going on now. Vote, go to the polling unit, and make sure that the votes are counted while you are there. We want a free and fair election. From the civil society, we are not bothered about who is winning.
Well,
we want the process to be free and fair.
Perhaps a good place to start would be, because one of the challenges that the voter, I mean, you have the experience, one of the challenges that the voter has had is who to choose.
Yeah.
So even this entire process of political alignment and realignment, defections, coalitions, partnerships, cross-carpeting and all, a good number of Nigerians now, you know, I'm not sure what you think, where you think their headspace is right now about this whole thing. I was at the airport on Thursday, coming back to town, coming back to Lagos, and there was this political rally on air at the airport. We were queuing to go board, and I was like, I saw the thing, it was PDP, APM, this, and I'm like, I was just there, and then this guy was perhaps wondering, PDP, APM, is it the single political, but what's going on here? So I'm imagining that as an example. People here, one person is moving from one party to another, and then these parties are collaborating, then they are not collaborating anymore. Where do you think the headspace, or where do you think these activities of political parties and the political elite puts the heads, or where the headspace of the voter is likely right now, from your experience?
I think what is happening is that at the end of the day is who gets to the ballot. Which party gets to the ballot? Because it's not two parties winning one. At the end of the day is with INEC, which party are they going to put on the ballot? And so it's easy for the voter to be able to determine, but I think a lot of people are confused because ideological issues are things that, you know, need to have content, and it needs to come from within the party. But so what we are seeing now is that voters are looking and saying, what's the ideology of this party? What's the manifesto of this party? I think people should be interested, and from the civil society, we will continue to be looking and also sifting what is going on to be able to direct our voter education, you know, to the grassroots. Another important agency is a National Orientation Agency that needs to distill these things to the society. Most times during elections, we don't hear their voices because they are not funded, but they have, you know, reaches down to the community levels in terms of being in the presence of every local government in Nigeria. At the end of the day, will they come on board? Will they not come on board? Will INEC do their own bit? Because I know there is a lot of money that is voted, you know, into the voter education section. They need to tell us the message, you know, bring out the message, the IEC materials that we are not working at crossroads, but we will challenge and hold people accountable. And I think we need to also, the political parties itself has a big responsibility, you know, to work on voter registration. The other side of it is that the political party, for the first time, we are having political party register. Whether it's real or whatever they have submitted, the registration is for the first time because INEC has been really complaining of that for a very long time. They never submit the political party register.
Well, now
we are having a different one.
Well,
so now that, but they are shifting from one place to the other. So how are you going to do that?
Again,
within
that's another challenge. Well, you know, madam, that's politics. That's the politicians and INEC and all. I'm very much interested in the voter today. I mean, Dr. Oloyede,
I'm not doctor.
Oh, sorry. I give those things out occasionally.
Okay. Honorary doctor.
Honorary. Okay.
There's a challenge there, right? These, you know, machinations, you know, moving from one side to the other and all. Maybe the question I should be asking is, where should the headspace of the voter be now? They see everything. They hear everything. Unfortunately, some will just hear one part and move. Some will just hear one headline and go all out, not knowing what the rest of the story is and all of that. So the confusion that Madam Enelbi is talking about is real. And it will seem like in all the junketing, in all the, even including all the alignments with the APC and all of that, where should the headspace of the voter be? And you know we have voters in grids. There are those who are educated, there are those who are semi-educated, there are those who are not educated, and we all have the same single vote.
And then there are voters and there are voters.
well, the topic of the day is, we're talking essentially about the abandoned voters. And that word is very instructive. I think you chose the topic very well. Because in all this junketing, migrating, what we have is a situation where the politicians are actually the ones migrating. They're the ones moving here and there. They are not bothered about the voters, the people who will actually cast the votes. That's why they are abandoned. They are just there where they've always been. There is nothing done by any political party to move them along. Because the politicians themselves, they are actually very confused at the moment. That's why they are jumping here and there. All they care about is, I need to secure a ticket. They are all fighting like the APC, which is the biggest party in Africa. The biggest party in Nigeria is always the biggest in Africa. The biggest party in Nigeria today, there's a lot of confusion because they want, as much as they want to have a consensus candidate to put on the ballot, there are people who are beginning, because when you have a marriage of convenience, there are a lot of people who are going against what the party is saying. And that had pushed the head of the party, the president himself, to say, oh, let there be primaries. Now, they are all running helter-skelter to ensure that, oh, there will be primaries. Some people are being disqualified. Because when you have a slot and you have 10 persons contesting for a slot in one local government, it becomes a big problem. So it is not really about where the voters have their heads now, because right now the parties are not interested in the voters, and so.
But shouldn't that be a concern?
No, the voters now, and you say there are categories. You have to grade voters. There are the educated ones, and on one of the platforms I'm on, WhatsApp platforms, and one day we were arguing, you know, the usual banters, and I asked one of my friends, so what's the ideology of this party you are supporting? What's the ideology? Have you ever seen their manifesto and all that? And of course, educated man, engineer and all that. And he came back immediately without thinking. He said, it's our turn. Our local. That's the ideology. That means, how do you begin to tell, I mean, how does the Nigerian out there, you and I, who actually feel the brunt at the moment, how do we begin to say that, okay, we are voting for this party or not voting for that party because the ideology is, it's our turn? What makes it your turn? So we have to begin to, divorce the people, the voters, from what is happening in the political space at the moment. The real politicking will start, like Madam said, after the people get their tickets, but they know their candidates.
I hear that, yes, and I understand it.
Yes.
But if the voter was educated enough, shouldn't the voter be the meter by which the political parties select their candidates?
That's the ideal. In an ideal situation, the voter should be better educated than even the politician. So that when the politician comes, the voter says, see, this is supposed to be your policy in the last 4 years. What have you delivered on this? The Nigerian voter is very peculiar. We're a country of peculiar people. So it's the other way around. We are not, there's nothing the politicians are putting on the table. They are not telling us this is what we'll do. This election, this coming election in Nigeria, could be won and lost on, say, issue of security alone. If Nigerians key into that and say, look, insecurity started so many years ago. Now it's getting worse. Instead of remaining in the epicenter, Borno, for instance, it is now spreading such that yesterday it was in Oyo. 3 schools. You said something about local government not having powers and all that. 3 schools were ransacked, not one. That means they moved from one school to the other, captured students, killed a teacher, and took a principal. In one vicinity, there was no police presence. Now, on the issue of security alone, if voters were well educated, or if they were in tune with their responsibilities, ethical responsibilities, they would be able to say, okay, just tell us when will this stop. But that's not the issue. The issue is about ethnicity. That's what people are talking about, the voters. They are talking about religion. They are talking about, oh, I mean, somebody came on here recently and was saying, oh, if these people from this side of the country, if they made sure that this person does not get re-elected, then there's going to be a big war, like Rwandan war. That's a leader in Nigeria because, oh, you are the one who prevented our person from getting re-elected. Now, those are the people that should educate the people. Now, can you imagine that kind of thing coming from an educated voter?
Okay, well, Madam, I want to bring this to you, perhaps asking the same question, but here is the kick. Ms. Oloyede said something now about ideology. Someone said previously, I don't know whether I was here on this program, the fellow said, Nigeria has operated a one-party state since 1999 because it is very, very easy for anybody in any political party to move from one party to another without thinking, because they are all thinking in the same light. I don't know if that's the same understanding that the voter, the average voter today has. Secondly, I said something now to Mr. Oloyede that if the politicians, the political parties knew the kind of voter they were going to meet, that they were going to be scrutinized by the voter, this time in their process, they will be very, very careful to choose just anybody. In fact, they will be careful who they select to go and field for the election. But I'm not sure that, which is one of the reasons we're talking about this forgotten voter, that the voter should not be forgotten and that the voter should wise up. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the topic is really apt because when you are looking at the issue of the voter, at this point, most of the candidates are fighting for survival. Those who have been in positions before want to go back, others want to come in, and so you are finding they are really fighting for their own tickets. And what is going on at this point is the political education itself, which is supposed to be conducted by the Federal Ministry of Information and Communications and so on. You know, there is a lot of work to be done, but it's not being done. Let's not leave it to the politicians, because the politicians, some of them don't want you to get it right. Because when you get it right, just like you are saying, they should worry about the voter. Because if you choose somebody who has spent 4 years, who had promises, and now he's going back and he has forgotten that he was going to go back to the voters and start mending roads at the last minute and all of that, the voters are watching. I think it's very interesting for us to see that voters are looking at them with the kind of eyes, when we, from the gender perspective, many women have been refused tickets, you know, into the volume, and women have been mobilizing over the years. The special seats bill is still in the National Assembly. So for women, we are going to be looking keenly about what they're saying, because in Nigeria, the selections of the political party, the candidates, they never look at the gender perspective. Why would you have a governor as a man in Nigeria where you have 50-50? You can't choose a woman. And so when you are looking at that, they are conditioning the voters, and the voters are waiting. And I'm asking Nigerians, every Nigerian should go and make sure that they are on, they have their card, so that when it is time, you can determine this 2027 election. The votes has to count. It will have to count. It's not that INEC doesn't have the system. INEC had the system to have delivered an excellent election in 2027, in 2023. But because of the glitches and so on that they say, the human error. But now, voters are watching. I know many people are disenchanted, but I'm asking them not to be disenchanted. And I think the politicians need to worry, because the citizens are looking at them. We encourage ourselves, but we need voter education, and it needs to start now. It's not done, but the politicians are worrying about their tickets, but how they put, we don't know. How they also make their choices is very, very important. Now you talk of their ideological issues. People are cross-carpeting because the whole system is traumatized. If you look at what is going on, from one of the political parties, in a Labour Party, for example, they were traumatized for so long, and then, you know, people like Peter Obi decided to move to AD, and many others from even, you know, PDP decided to move. You have a minister of the Federal Capital Territory who is also putting his hand, who claimed to be in PDP, but is working for APC and destroying a lot of issues, a lot of parties. And so they moved to AD. And you say, and you have the Kwankwasia movement, you also have the obedient movement. When you are talking of voters, those ones are moving en bloc, you know, to wherever their leaders. So the movement, therefore, should we be blaming something? Are there some reasons why they are moving? Or the issue of ideology, or people wanting to serve Nigeria and they don't have the opportunity, and the state, which is supposed to brew a platform for free and fair participation in terms of deepening democracy in Nigeria, is busy causing confusion from one place or the other. I've never seen anything like that. And I think we need to check ourselves to know that the world is a stage. Nigeria, as we are now, you can live your own today. Tomorrow, we are all just skeletons. In another 50 years, I'll be a skeleton, and I'm happy to be. But you don't even have a choice. And all of us, all those who are working in state and destroying things now, they need to know that there is a tomorrow. Because they don't own the world. The owner of the world is up there and is watching everything. And it will call for the life that you have, the breath that you have.
Right, thanks, Mr. Oloyede. You know, if I could bring it to you, and she has, you know, made a lot of valid points there, and we're still talking about this, you know, cross-carpeting and defections from one place to the other. In other climes, when you know, talk about elections in a place like the United States, for instance, people vote for parties, regardless of, you know, the candidates that have come. You just say you're either voting for the Republicans or you're voting for the Democrats. So, you know, so how does it play out? These same politicians, the people that are defecting here in Nigeria, if you're those that move from the PDP to APC, it's still the same politicians. That's, you know, if people are going to vote, they will vote for candidates A if he was in APC before and then he moved to PDP. It's still the same person if he was the party's candidate that will be voted for. So it doesn't change.
Nothing changes.
Do you understand? It doesn't change. So, you know, how come, again, I ask, how are we taking the voters, you know, for granted? Because during the campaigns, you hear votes for, they'll take a look at the party logos. They actually hammer on votes for party logos. Just look for this and look for that item on the ballot, because they know that a lot of people are probably not that, especially in the rural areas. Yeah. They may not be educated enough to know what APC or PDP looks like, but vote for this or just check this logo and vote for it. So, I mean, so why do we need all these defections to be able to secure the people's votes?
Well, as it relates to the voters, these not the voters who actually need the defections. We don't need it. It's all about so much motion without movement. Like I said earlier on, the politicians are moving. All they want is to get power. And that's what my friend said. Our local, it's our turn. It's my turn to be on this spot, and I must, whatever platform will give me that. The reason why a lot of people are, I mean, the majority of politicians are rushing into APC is because they see that, I mean, you will succeed because it is the party in power. It's not because of ideology. It's not because the people going there, they want to actually serve those who are supposed to vote for them. They are going there because it presents them with an opportunity. Once you get the ticket, you are likely to win. And why do they have this perception? They believe that the might of the state covers them, particularly with a lot of the glitches we were talking about in 2023. Some of the things that happened, it's about state power and all that. But a lot of people also forget that a Buhari came in and won because they were able to form a coalition and they were able to wrest power. I mean, they defeated the person who was in power. And then after Buhari, despite all the noise, the hues and cries, plus the glitches, I mean, the APC again won. Now, what I'm trying to say is, it is not about people moving, I mean, the politicians moving from here to that place. It is about the voters being intentional this time around, telling themselves, no politician is going to educate you aright. It's coming to tell you that, if you want to vote, look at what my party has achieved while in power, or look at what the other person has not achieved. That's not what they are bringing to you. If we are waiting, normally in a government or in political science, the political parties, one of the major functions is education of voters. They are supposed to tell them the difference between my party and that party. But in Nigeria, that is not what obtains. So if we want to wait till the politicians get their tickets to be on the ballot and all that, and we expect that they will just come and educate the people on why you should vote this way and not vote that way, we're wasting our time. I saw a picture, somebody posted a video of herself and her daughter, and the daughter just did the victory sign. And I wrote back that, this child is a member of this party. And I said, wow, why would you say she's a member of that party? I said, can't you see the logo? She said, which logo? A lot of Nigeria, I mean, when we were growing up, we said the palm tree, we know is Action Group, demo, and all those things. I mean, I grew up, I was old enough to know that this sign means this, that sign means that, the NRC, all those things. All those logos meant a lot. Now, my own children, they don't know any logo. I'm very sure of that. I'm sure they are watching. They don't, about logo, like they say, So, you see, they don't know any logo. They are not interested. I told them, I mean, I went to my card, my voter's card. I took it there about 2 months ago to Annie. Can this card still work? I don't want a situation where you put it there and you say, it's not functioning, because it was fading. Yeah. And they said, you have to do this. I had gone online to check because somebody came to my church to educate us, INEC official, and said, okay, if you have this problem, go and do this. So I quickly did that. As part of my civic responsibility, I know I must vote. Yes. My candidate does not have to win. I feel happy voting every time, even if I'm losing. So I went there. After doing the online, I thought it was done. From court, I just went, look, I've done this, see what I got printed. They said, there's a stage, you have to capture again. They took my picture, and I said, look, so if I didn't come, that means I wouldn't have been able to vote in 2027. They said, yes. Wow. Then I called some church members, see what I saw. Those of you who did online, you still have to go to INEC. It's manual. You still have to do the manual part. Now, that is education. Political parties they won't do that. They are not interested in educating you because they don't. The less the number of voters, the better for them.
Okay.
So I mean, let me just. So the idea that somebody is coming from any political party to come and do that, and if you wait for the Ministry of Information, I mean, this is Nigeria of today. Who is in charge of that ministry? Does he want people to come out and vote en masse?
Well, you and Madam Obi seem to be on the same page about the government coming to, and I won't hold my breath. Yeah. I'm sorry.
And I'm wondering, is it about voting for parties or voting for candidates?
No, we are voting for parties. Because but,
really?
Madam, let me ask you this, and this is an angle that I hope will prick the conscience of the Nigerian. If you can give me an idea, madam, just briefly, first of all, because I'm going somewhere. What was the INEC budget in 2023? Some 100 million or so? Or more than that?
It was about 400 and I think over 400 billion.
Almost 500 billion? Did you say billion?
Billion.
Yeah,
you knew.
Billion.
Okay.
About 436 billion thereabout.
Okay. Now, we print ballot papers for about 90 million people, because after printing for the specific number, sometimes they also have to print some extras just in case. Now, the voter turnout in the last election, I think according to INEC, was about 15% in all, and they said that was quite high given what has happened in recent past. Let's talk about the responsibility of the voter in that wastage so that we can understand that as a voter, like what Mr. Oloyede did here, we have certain personal responsibilities, even if you are just 18 years old. You have certain personal responsibilities to take. Otherwise, when you don't go to vote, you waste your money. You waste state resources, which is your money. The paper was printed for you, you did not use it. So can you help us educate the voter in that perspective so that we know that we are also contributing to the very things we are complaining about?
I think we need to understand that every ballot paper is a lifeline, because one vote can't change who becomes the official or who is elected. I want to compare it with vaccines in immunization. I was in public health for about 10 years. And I know that the antigens come in some high vials, and then some in like maybe 20 doses, some up to 50. Meaning that if you open one of the vials, because in most cases, the antigens that come to Nigeria comes in high vials. If you open a vial that is for 20 children, and only 4 children, or maybe 2 children, are in the clinic that day, and these vaccines will spoil in 4 days. If you don't, no matter what kind of ice pack you put, in 4 or 5 days it's gone bad. Would you say you are not going to, open it to save the children, preventing them from maybe measles and all of that? So you cannot say that you will not print. I think for the citizens, we have a responsibility to be a part of the process, because each of the ballot paper that they print, they are using your money. And I think INEC will be able to, they should be able to sanitize the register, or the voter register, to be able to see a lot of people that have gone home to their maker. Their names are not in the places again. Nigerian system does not have the death and death registration, and it's not very, very compact or available. But I think there is a lot that we can do there. Nigerian citizens, you need to own your state. You need to own your country. The way the politicians are behaving right now, Nigeria is going down. Poverty is killing people. People daily, if you go to the hospitals, you end up paying bills for so many people, because people can't afford. People cannot eat. More than 130 And 39 million Nigerians are living below the poverty line. In schools, children don't have, in public schools, you need to see the fate of how many children are dropping every year. And the investment in the human capital. If you look at the FAC issue, the money that is going to the elections that they talked about with the APC Congress that is online now, you find out that many of the politicians don't care about us. We need to care about us. And you need to be a part. You must take responsibility. If we have a bad governance, people we don't want in 2027, but it's your choice and my choice. We want everybody to go out there and vote and make sure that their votes are counted. But the civil society will work hard to also urge INEC to stand tall. And the judiciary, because the count is individually, can we make it a specific responsibility? Whether you are in the police force, you are in the army, you are in the navy, you are any form of any armed forces, wherever you are in the security system, be a Nigerian, stand upright for Nigeria, because your children are affected. Your grandchildren will be affected. So guide right. Don't follow the politicians.
Right.
Follow your own responsibility. And I want to tell you another thing is that the German, umpire is a card-carrying member of a political party, but he's also the umpire. He doesn't mix the two. He says he's professional. When he was asked questions, he said he's professional. This one is my citizenship responsibility, so I know the party I am, and then I will go for this. And so the parties of the old were controlled by ideology. But now people are trying to survive. Politicians we need to deepen democracy. This political class need to leave the stage better than what they have done.
And Mr. Oloyede, yes. I mean, it was some of your final thoughts, but to me, I still think that it could be a lose-lose situation for the voter. The reason I say this is because, yes, we are galvanizing, talking, creating awareness. You must vote, your votes must count, you must add your voice. If you don't vote, then you don't have a say in who leads. But is it not the candidate that's presented? Is it not the candidate that wins the primary? Is it not the consensus candidate that people will still vote for in the first place? So all you need is someone to vote for the candidates that you have presented. It's still the political parties that are in control, so to speak.
Yes.
I mean, don't you think?
I mean, it's like a situation of state capture. And what we have now, except a miracle happens, what you said, lose-lose situation for the voter. But are the voters actually thinking like that, look, if I don't do something, it's a lose-lose for me? Take, for instance, many of us are on social media. As we are talking, I'm sure if you check your phones, some of them are watching and they are making comments. Some adverse, some negative, some unprintable, about even the discussants here today. That, oh, this one is a party A, party B. You see, why? I watched a program online and the lady asked a very pertinent question. He said, so why do you rave and rant for the past 4 years on social media? You keep on complaining there's no power supply, there's poverty in the land, there's insecurity, there's this. On social media, you're always there. You even buy fuel at 1,400 naira per liter to power your generator so that you can be online, charge your phone, and be engaging with people. But of what use is all this you're ranting when you don't have a voter's card? Yeah. Or you have one that is going to be invalid on the day of election and you have not bothered to go and check. So the Nigerian voter cannot continue to wait for the politician who is fighting for his own survival. Most politicians are just there to get the post. And I mean, I saw a video when the senators were arriving for deliberations for the day in Abuja. Somebody just posted a video. And honestly, it's like you have, when you have, what's it called? Is it Golden Globe? All these celebrity events in America, the kind of cars and all that, funded by monies from the coffers of the Federation. You see, it's going to be a lose-lose, because if we don't get it right this time around, I don't know whether in my own lifetime, I don't pray to die so young, I'm still very young, I doubt whether because he's going to get more entrenched.
Perhaps, my apologies,
yes.
Because we really have to go. Perhaps the challenge here, from what you and Madam NLB have been saying, is that Nigerians don't even know how rich they are.
No.
The individual Nigerian. It is your money they use to buy those SUVs and all of that. Your money is used to fix the, street lights and all. You go to vandalize your own property. I don't know. But thank you so much for your time this morning. Mr. John Oloyede is a legal practitioner and voter.
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to vote.
Very important.
As well as NLB, who is founder, NLB Foundation, and voter.
Voter and observer.
That's our party, Voters Party. That's what we
NLB Center for Development. Thank you so much for your time this morning.